Welcome to the Beyond You podcast. And I want to talk about when it comes to toxic families because I know I talk a lot about it over the holidays, but I think we don't really get to just go deeper into it. So, Halo, come here, sit with me, get comfortable. I already have my tea in hand because this is something that we don't allow ourselves to talk about. I know it can feel heavy, and I need you to be able to feel safe here. So, before we dive in, if these conversations keep you going, giving yourself permission to tell the truth about your life, I would love for you to hit subscribe and join our community and join our family because this episode is saying something a lot of people don't get to say. And I want to make sure it reaches to women who need to hear this. So hit subscribe and let's have this conversation together. Welcome to the Beyond You podcast, where we have real conversations about healing, trusting yourself again, and building the kind of relationships that actually feel good. I'm Samantha, and if you've ever felt like you're just going through the motions, like you're doing all the right things but still feeling disconnected, you're in the right place. Because here we go beyond the surface, beyond the hurt, beyond the patterns that keep you stuck. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get into it. All right, deep breath with me. Because I'm going to say something that might make you feel uncomfortable, something that goes against everything you've been taught, something that might make you feel guilty just for hearing it. But if you've been part of my crew, you probably heard it already. Some folks are just toxic, and blood doesn't fix that. And I know that can be hard to hear for some, especially if you were raised with family is everything, or blood is thicker than water, or you can only, right, but only can have one mother, or family doesn't give up on family, all the sayings. But I need you to hear this truth because being related to someone, it doesn't obligate you to accept mistreatment. Never. And DNA doesn't erase abuse. Shared bloodline doesn't make toxicity okay. So if you resonate with this, you're in the right place. And I'm so glad you're here because if part of you has known this truth but felt guilty for knowing, because I need you to understand you're not the only one feeling this. And you're not wrong for this or not wrong for feeling it either. Today, we're talking about toxic families, not families going through hard times, not families with normal conflict, toxic families, the ones that hurt you consistently, that refuse to change, that make your mental health worse every time you're around them. And we're going to talk about why it's okay to distance yourself, why you're allowed to protect your peace, and why, but it's family, it's just not good enough. So let's talk about it. I first want to be able to always start out just what makes a toxic family in the first place, not just someone that's difficult. So we're not saying every family is toxic, right? There's some families just difficult. So first, let's get clear on what we're actually talking about because not every hard family situation is toxic. Sometimes families are just going through difficult seasons. Sometimes there's conflict that can be worked through. Sometimes people are struggling, but they're trying. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about toxic family dynamics, and here's how you know the difference. Toxic families have patterns, not just moments. Difficult families have bad moments. Someone says something hurtful in the heat of the moment, there's a fight, but then there's repair, accountability, change. Toxic families have patterns, though. The same behaviors happen over and over. The same dynamics play out. And when you bring it up, you're told you're being too sensitive, holding grudges, or living in the past. There's basically any way for you to get over it. And the pattern is the problem. And the pattern does not change. Toxic families require you to minimize your pain. In healthy families, when you say, that hurt me, people listen. They might not always get it right, but they try, they care that you're hurting. In toxic families, when you say, that hurt me, you're told it wasn't that bad, you're overreacting, other people have it worse. Why are you so sensitive? I've heard it all in my sessions. You just want to make me the bad guy. I said, I'm sorry. What more do you want? We've heard of all, right? If you know more, please add more below because you're not allowed to have been hurt, though. That's the bottom line. Your pain is an inconvenience they need you to get over. So toxic families punish honesty. Healthy families can handle the truth. They might not like it, but they don't punish you for being honest. So toxic families punish honesty with silent treatment, gossip to other family members about how difficult you are, withdrawal affection or support, gaslighting that never happened, you're remembering it wrong. They make you the problem. Here you go again, causing the drama. So you learn to lie, to perform, to hide who you really are just to keep the peace. And toxic families refuse to change. This is the big one. This is how you know. Healthy families might struggle, but when harm is pointed out, they try to do better. They don't do it perfectly, but they try. Toxic families refuse. They deny the harm happened, they justify it, they blame you for how you respond to their behavior, they make promises to change and then do the exact same thing. And after years, sometimes decades of hoping they'll change, you'll finally realize they're not going to. That's the hardest part. This is who they are, and you have to decide if you can live with that. So I know that you might have heard these patterns before, and I'd love to be able to hear from you guys on what patterns that you see in your own families. And while you're doing that, we're going to go into section two about why, but it's family just isn't enough. Now, let's talk about the thing that keeps so many of us stuck, but it's family. I hear this all the time in my practice. Women who know their family is toxic, who know they're being hurt, but who feel trapped because you can't just walk away from family. But understand, I just want you to be able to, I just want to challenge that. Can we talk about why, but it's family actually isn't good enough reason to just accept toxicity? Family is supposed to be safety, not suffering. So, the whole point of family, the reason why people say family is everything for in the first place is because family is supposed to be your safe place, your refuge, the people who love you unconditionally, who support you, who want the best for you. But what happens when your family is the opposite of that? When they're the source of your trauma, when being around them makes you feel unsafe, anxious, or small, then they're not functioning as family. They might be biologically related to you, but they're not serving the purpose of what family is supposed to be. And you're allowed to say, this isn't what family should be. And I'm allowed to step back from it. So a lot of times you don't realize the cultural messaging that even complicates this even more. I need to name something important here, especially for just my Black and Brown women, immigrant communities, for anyone raised in cultures where family loyalty is survival. Family is everything isn't just a saying, it's been how we've survived systems that were designed to destroy us at times. In many of our communities, family loyalty saved lives. Family was the safety net when the world was hostile. Family was the only people who could trust. You could trust in a society that didn't protect you. So when I say you're allowed to step back from toxic family, I want you just to know I'm not dismissing that history. I'm not saying family doesn't matter. I'm saying that the value of family loyalty, as beautiful and necessary as it's been, shouldn't require you to accept abuse. Honoring your lineage doesn't mean sacrificing your mental health. Respecting your culture doesn't mean staying in toxicity. You can love your culture and still protect yourself. Both things can be true. And I just want to make room for you to know that because a lot of times you don't really take time to just understand just the culture messages that are here. But a lot of times, when I've been wrestling with that kind of blood is thicker than water, it's actually misquoted because here's something interesting that saying blood is thicker than water, it's misused. The full phrase is actually the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which means the family you choose, the covenant, is actually stronger than the family you're born into the womb. So the original messaging was the opposite of how it's used now. It meant chosen family, found family, the people who actually show up for you. That matters more than biology. So when someone says blood is thicker than water to guilt you into staying in a toxic family, they're literally using a misquoted phrase to manipulate you. So you don't have to accept that. You're not abandoning them, you're protecting yourself. And here's the reframe I want to offer you. You stepping back from toxic family isn't you abandoning them. It's you're refusing to abandon yourself. For years, you've probably been abandoning yourself to maintain a relationship with them, making yourself smaller, swallowing your truth, accepting mistreatment, sacrificing your peace. When you distance yourself, you're not choosing them or you're finally choosing yourself too. You're saying, I matter. My well being matters. My peace matters. That's not abandonment, that's self preservation. And there's a difference. So now I want to get into what toxic family does to you, because I don't think we allow ourselves to kind of really go into that. Now, I want to talk about why this matters so much. Why staying in toxic family dynamics isn't just uncomfortable, it's actually harmful to your health, your relationships, your entire life. It rewires your nervous system. When you grow up in a toxic family or when you're still in a relationship with one, your nervous system is constantly activated. You're hypervigilant, always scanning for danger, walking on eggshells, trying to predict their moods, managing their emotions, performing to keep the peace. Your body never gets to rest. It's always in fight, flight, or fawn mode. In that chronic activation, I want to be able to let you know how it shows up. It shows up as the anxiety you can't shake, depression, physical health issues, headaches, stomach aches, chronic pain, difficulty trusting people, relationship problems, irritability to set boundaries in your areas of your life. Your toxic family isn't just in your past, they're literally in your body, in your nervous system, in how you move through the world. It teaches you that love hurts. When the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are the ones hurting you, you learn that love and pain go together. You learn love means tolerating mistreatment. People who love you get to hurt you. You have to earn love through performance. Your needs are too much. You're only worthy when you're useful. It teaches you so many things. And then you take those beliefs into every other relationship. You choose partners who hurt you because that feels like love. You stay in friendships that drain you because that's what loyalty means. You can't receive healthy love because it feels wrong. Your toxic family doesn't just hurt you in the moment, they shape how you love. You let yourself be loved for the rest of your life, unless you do the work to heal it, unless you create distance to break the pattern. It keeps you stuck. So here's one of the hard truths here, because while you're still in the environment that traumatized you, you can go to therapy, you can journal, you can do all the work. But if you're still regularly exposed to the people who hurt you, if you're still being re traumatized, you're trying to heal a wound that keeps getting reopened. And at some point, you have to create space. You have to remove yourself from the source of harm. Not forever necessarily, not perfectly, but enough that your nervous system can calm down. Enough that you can actually do the healing work without constantly being triggered. Distance isn't giving up, but distance is creating conditions for healing. So I want you just to really kind of take what I'm saying in, because I know for me, I do not see people who are keeping traumatized in situations, because I want you to heal from your core. So, section 4, what distance can look like and permission to choose. All right. So, maybe you're recognizing that your family is toxic. Maybe you're realizing that, but its family isn't a good enough reason to keep accepting harm. Maybe you're ready to create some distance, but what does that actually look like? And how do you do it without feeling like a terrible person? Distance exists on the spectrum. So I just want to kind of make room for that. First, I want you to know distance doesn't have to mean complete cutoff. For some, it does, but it can look like a lot of different things as well. And you get to choose what works for you, like I tell everybody. Low contact, right? Like you just kind of you can decide the frequency. Low contact might look like limiting how often you see them. It could be just holidays, only once a year, shorter visits. It could be phone calls instead of in person, group settings only, never one on one. Boundaries around topics you won't discuss with this person. Okay, so that's an option. So medium contact might look like surface level relationship only. No sharing personal information. You're polite but boundaried. You show up but you protect yourself and you limited emotional investment. And no contact might look like complete separation. Blocking numbers, social media, not attending family events, no communicating at all. There's no right answer here. There's just your answer based on how severe the toxicity is, whether they're actively trying to change, how it affects your mental health, what you can handle and still protect yourself, and what feels aligned with your values. So no, you don't have to choose the most extreme option to be valid. You also don't have to maintain more contact than is healthy for you just to prove you're trying. So you got to determine on what level of distance feels right for you. You're allowed to change your mind though. I just want to be able to make that clear because your mind can change anytime. And here's something important to know. Whatever you decide, you're allowed to change your mind. Maybe you go no contact and then you decide you want to try limited contact. Maybe you try limited contact and you realize you need more distance. Maybe you distance yourself for years and then after healing work, decide to try again. All of this is okay. You're not locked into a decision forever. The only commitment you need to make is to yourself. Okay. I will protect my peace. That is your commitment. And if this arrangement stops serving that, I'll adjust. The grief is real though, and you're allowed to feel it. Now, here's what people don't talk about enough. Distancing yourself from toxic family is grief. It is grief. Even when you know it's the right choice, even when you know they were hurting you, it still hurts to step back. You're grieving. I mean, realize you're grieving the family you wish you had, the parent you deserved but you didn't get, the relationship you hoped would change, the acceptance you'll never receive, the dream of what family was supposed to be. All that is included in the grief, and the grief is real. And it doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. You can know you needed to create distance and still grieve what you lost. You can protect yourself and still wish it didn't have to be this way. You can be relieved and sad at the same time. Let yourself feel it all, protect it, process it. You can do it within the My Miss Me journal. You can talk about it in therapy. You can write about it, over in my Substack as well, right? I just wrote a post today that I just still am just gawking over that I exposed that, right? Of just this unlearning and relearning process. Just in general, no, you're not being dramatic. You're mourning a real loss. You need support. Last thing, you cannot navigate toxic family dynamics alone. You need, whether it's a therapist who understands family trauma, friends who won't pressure you to just forgive and move on, community with people who've walked this path, whether it's in the Come Home to Yourself, which is or my paid community, whether it's resources that validate your experience, because the world is going to tell you to reconcile, to forgive, to try harder, to remember their family. And you need people who will say your peace matters. You're allowed to protect it. You're not a bad person for creating distance from people who hurt you. And I just really wanted you to get that and take all of this in. So know before you go, I need to say this as clearly as I can. Some families are just toxic, and blood doesn't fix that. You can love them from a distance. You can honor what they just gave you while also acknowledging what they took from you. You can respect your lineage without sacrificing your mental health in the process. So, family is supposed to be a refuge. And when it's not, when it's the source of your trauma, you're allowed to step back. You're not a bad daughter, aunt, uncle, or however you want to put it, bad mom. You're not ungrateful. You're not selfish. You're not giving up too easily. You're a person who tried, who gave them chances, who hoped they change, who sacrificed yourself trying to maintain a relationship, and finally bravely said, I matter too, and I'm going to protect myself. When I tell you that is not weakness, that is the hardest, most courageous thing you could do. And here's what I need from you. I want you to share this episode. I'm trying to get to 1,000 in this 2026 as just kind of stepping out and just letting you know this information. And I want you to be able to let me know how it's resonated. Make sure to like, so I know that you really enjoy videos like this, so I know to do more of it. If you have any questions that you want me to talk about, let me know down in the comments as well. And these conversations, I gave you permission to choose yourself. This is what we do here for weekly support. No, I have just you guys over my Substack or my social media and TikTok at Moving Beyond You, and then Samantha, I'm Samantha.a. So I'm just excited that we are continuing this journey together, and I cannot wait to see you next week. I'm gonna talk to you soon.